Good evening. There is an old habit within civilization, a very old lie, one whispered through churches, courtrooms, classrooms, boardrooms, and battlefields for centuries. The lie that women are somehow lesser leaders, lesser thinkers, lesser fighters, lesser builders of history. And yet history itself repeatedly disproves the men who wrote it. Because every era that attempted to silence women eventually discovered the same inconvenient truth. Humanity cannot progress while suppressing half of itself. You need only look backward to see it. There was a time in America when women could not vote, a nation that spoke endlessly of liberty while denying millions of its own citizens a voice in determining its future. Women marched, women protested, women were mocked, beaten, imprisoned, force-fed during hunger strikes, and still they persisted. Not because society suddenly became kind, but because women refused to accept the limits imposed upon them. Or consider the factories of the Second World War. When men were sent overseas, women entered industries they had long been told they were incapable of handling. They built aircraft, tanks, machinery, ammunition. Entire economies survived because women stepped into roles society once denied them. And what happened afterward? The same systems that depended upon them suddenly wished to send them quietly back into silence. How predictable. Or take science. How many discoveries were delayed because brilliant women were ignored? How many minds dismissed before they were heard? Women like Rosalind Franklin, whose work proved essential to understanding DNA, yet whose recognition came far too late. Women like Katherine Johnson, whose calculations helped send human beings into space, while much of society still questioned whether women belonged in advanced mathematics at all. Women like Marie Curie, who reshaped science itself while existing in a world deeply uncomfortable with intellectually powerful women. History is filled with this pattern. Women accomplishing the impossible, while simultaneously being told they should not even be in the room. And then there are the examples history rarely dignifies with headlines. Single mothers working 3 jobs while raising children alone. Women surviving domestic violence only to rebuild their lives from ashes. Women carrying entire households, emotionally, financially, spiritually, while being told they are too emotional to lead. You see, society often confuses loudness with strength, but strength is not always loud. Sometimes strength is a nurse working 18 hours and still comforting frightened patients during a pandemic. Sometimes strength is a teacher buying supplies for students out of her own paycheck. Sometimes strength is a woman walking into rooms where she knows she will be underestimated and succeeding anyway. And perhaps that is what truly unsettles fragile systems. Not women themselves, but the realization that women were never weak to begin with. Because authoritarian minds throughout history have understood something very clearly. A woman who knows her worth becomes difficult to control. That is why oppressive societies so often target women first. Control education. Control autonomy. Control identity. Control voice. Whether it was the Taliban restricting girls from schools in Afghanistan, or women in Iran risking imprisonment for protesting compulsory laws, or generations of women across countless nations fighting merely for equal opportunity, the pattern remains the same. Fear disguises itself as tradition, control disguises itself as morality, insecurity disguises itself as order. But the truth is simpler. A society afraid of women is a society afraid of freedom itself. And to the men listening tonight, honoring women does not weaken you. It does not diminish masculinity. It does not erase manhood. The world was never meant to be built by one hand alone. Civilization itself stands upon balance, upon partnership, upon the undeniable reality that humanity survives because women continue to carry it forward, even while being underestimated by the very societies they sustain. So this evening, remember the women erased from textbooks, the women spoken over in meetings, the women mocked for ambition, the women expected to carry impossible burdens in silence. And remember this above all. Every time society told women, you cannot, history moved forward because women did anyway. Good night.